Welcome back, everybody. I'm really happy that you continue to watch my second episode of time-lapse demonstration. Today I'm going to paint the details, but before to start, let me talk about the palette. So I use Ivory Black, Raw Amber, Sap Green, Cobalt Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Cerulean Blue, Cadmium Red, Alizarin Red, Cadmium Red Light, Yellow Ochre, Windsor Yellow, and Warm White. I'm not going to use all of them, but I just display the ones because maybe I need some variety chrome of colors, and just in case I need them, it's good to be ready. Okay, I can start with the first question of today. What is relevant to me when I paint white roses? Before to give you an answer, how can I get correct colors of the shadows? To begin with, I must clarify in my mind the idea of the colors of the roses is different when the natural light hit the petals. In other words, I have to face up this illusion and abandon my beliefs regarding the abstract idea of the petals. In other words, I have to make an effort in order to see the color of the shadow, because my thoughts stuck me in one idea. This preconcept in my mind doesn't allow to me to understand the subject. In fact, I wasted most of the time fighting against concepts that don't let me see the colors. The mind believes that what it knows is the true, and that's the problem. Because one thing's when you know something, and one thing is when you see something. It's completely different approach. So, what are the colors that I mix together to make the shadows bright and dark at the same time? Maybe I will surprise you that I don't use any blue at all. And I use, instead of blue, Ivory Black plus white. Basically I do a bit of gray and I mix gray plus raw amber and sap green and Windsor yellow. With this combination of colors, I can do something similar at the color of the shadow, but I have to calibrate correctly the amount of gray in relation of raw amber and sap green, and yellow as well. And as you may see, I use the same combination of colors for the leaves. For some strange belief, many artists suggest not to use black because it is a pity. I guess it is a legacy of the Impressionists. Even though they suggest don't use black, some of them they used to use. For example, Edouard Manet, when he painted a bar at the Folies Bergère, the girl's dress is black. And also Renoir, the leader of the Impressionists movement, painted La Loge in 1874, and the lady are sitting in the theater box has a black stripes in her clothes. In conclusion, I want to say don't be afraid to use black, but be afraid of person who suggests you don't use black, because it is not make sense. Black is a part of the colors that we must use. Of course, you have to calibrate, you have to know how to use, and I'm sure if you hues in a correct way, at the end your painting will look naturalistic and realistic. For the leaves, I'm using the same combination of colors, but I can add a bit of ultramarine blue to get the chrome of the green a bit cold. Okay. Did you understand what I'm going to do now? Let me explain. I've done a bit of drawing with a small tiny brush, and I use a liquid color like gray and a bit of green, and after I start to paint the transition of colors from the light to the middle tones, and with a dry brush I can readjust the border of the drawing. What is important for me on this level is to paint correctly the middle tones. In order to reduce the chrome of the colors, you may use a complementary colors because they neutralize each other. For example, if my color of the leaves are green and too cold because I had too much ultramarine blue, I can add a complementary colors like orange, or like a earth color similar at orange, like a rose sienna or burnt umber, and finally the temperature of the ones will be less cold, not completely warm, something in between. Okay, this method is really helpful, especially if you like to paint landscape. But for a portrait, for life models, it's quite tricky to manage all these colors. And I saw a lot of artists, they used to use a huge palette with a lot of colors, and then you can get confused if you are not expert. If I apply gray to change the temperature of the colors and not the complementaries, allowed me to use less colors. Consequently, I can be more fast because I save the time in mixing. Furthermore, if you are brave and if you want to challenge yourself, you can try to use both. You can manage the temperature of the color by adding complementaries, and also you can change the tonality and at the same time the temperature of the colors by apply together. Why not? I like to do both. It works a lot, but like I told you before, you need to have experience. Okay, this is my personal opinion. If you use just complementary colors to manage the temperature of the tones, at the end the paintings, it will look like a photograph picture, because you will have a lot of bright and intense colors. I don't know why many artists don't realize this issue. Maybe because I am too sophisticated artist. Also, if you use just gray, it will look like a 19th century painting, maybe too old. Anyway, do what you feel, do wherever you like, okay? You know my idea about it. As you may see, the right rose is more cold than the left. To do this effect that it looks blue, I apply gray. Did you notice how long time it takes to me to reach a good level of painting? This is the truth. I remember when I was at the end of my training in 2003, I used to try to paint fast without success. And after a while, I realized that I don't have to be stingy in art, so I have to give everything that I have to attain a good level and quality. Michelangelo said that everybody called him genius, but he told they wouldn't call me a genius if they knew how much I worked. So what is relevant for me when I paint white rose? First of all is the impression. The impression has to be good. The subject must be recognized at the first view. It's not really important to paint all petals, but I must paint the detail that allow to me to understand the shape of the roses. Tones are important as well. Maybe when I paint white rose more than colors. And finally, the structure. Structure, it is such important thing. And also, for the last one, is the drawing. Drawing has to be really accurate. But when I talk about drawing, I hope that you understand. Drawing is not just the outline of the subject. Drawing, it's something that you need to have in your hand and blend the color in the drawing simultaneously. That's the secret. Okay, we are at the end of the video. I hope that you enjoy and see you soon at the next project.